I am 87 years old, not as an achievement, not as something to admire, just as a fact, a plain, simple fact that tells you something important about what I'm going to say next. I am close to the edge. I don't mean that dramatically. I don't mean it the way young people say things for effect. I mean it the way a man means it when he has watched the sun set 300 times from the same chair by the same window, and he knows, not thinks, not suspects, he knows that there are not many more sunsets left for him. There is a room I keep returning to in my mind lately. It has no furniture. It has no windows. It is quiet in the way that nothing else is quiet. And I know that room is waiting for me. I am not afraid of it anymore, but I am afraid of what I might carry into it. Because I have been carrying something for a very long time, and I think you might be carrying it too. People will tell you that time heals. They say it the way they say everything, quickly, confidently, without really meaning it. They say it at funerals. They say it over the phone. They say it because silence makes them uncomfortable, and words, even empty ones, feel like they are doing something. Time does not heal. Time buries. That is different. That is very different. What is buried is not gone. Ask any man who has carried a grudge for 40 years. Ask any woman who stopped speaking to her sister in 1979 and told herself she had moved on. Ask them if it is healed. Watch their face. Watch what happens around their eyes when the name comes up. It is not healed. It is there, right there, under the surface, and it has been there all this time, just waiting. I know the difference between knowing something and feeling it. I have known for decades that I needed to forgive. Someone told me so. A pastor, a friend, a doctor once, in passing. I nodded. I said, yes, I understand. I believed I understood. But understanding is what happens in your head. Feeling is what happens in the body when you are lying in a hospital bed at 3 a.m, and there is nothing left to distract you. No work, no television, no noise, just you and the silence and everything you chose not to do when you had the chance. That is when you feel it. That is when it is no longer a concept. His name was Thomas Alcott. We grew up on the same street in a small Ohio town that most people have never heard of and never will. We were best friends from the age of 9. We knew each other the way only boys who grow up together can know each other completely, without pretense, without performance. It was 1964 when everything changed. We were both 26. We both had plans. Thomas had a plan to open a hardware store. He had been saving for 3 years. He asked me to be his partner. He asked me to invest what little I had. And I did. I gave him everything I had saved, and then he made a decision I did not agree with, a business decision. He brought in another man, a man I did not trust, did not like, without telling me first. He went around me. He thought he was doing the right thing. He thought the business needed it. I thought he had betrayed me. I told him so, loudly, in a way that I am not proud of. He tried to explain. I would not listen. I told him I wanted my money back, and I wanted nothing more to do with him. He gave me the money, every cent of it, and I walked away. I walked away from 20 years of friendship, over a business decision. I never fully understood, and never gave him the chance to explain. I told myself I was justified. I told myself he should have come to me first. I told myself 100 things. 3 years later, in 1967, Thomas Alcott was killed in a car accident on Route 40 on a Tuesday afternoon in October. He was 29 years old. I heard about it from his mother. She called me because she thought we were still friends. She did not know. I never told her. I went to the funeral. I stood in the back. I looked at the casket, and I thought, this is the last moment. This is the last possible moment. And even then, standing in that church, I was still holding it. I was still holding the thing. I never said I was sorry. There was no one left to say it to. The world moved on. That is the part nobody tells you. That is the part that cuts in a way nothing else does. The world moved on completely. The hardware store was sold. The man Thomas brought in moved to another state. The business dispute that ended our friendship was forgotten by everyone involved within 5 years. It amounted to nothing. It resolved itself. It was in the grand history of the world completely meaningless. But I gave it 20 years of quiet bitterness. I gave it 20 years of small moments where I would think of Thomas and feel the tightening in my chest and push the thought away and go back to whatever I was doing. I gave it space in my life that could have held something else, something good, and Thomas gave his life, not to the grudge. He didn't live long enough for it to hurt him the way it hurt me. He gave his life on a Tuesday afternoon, and never knew I would spend the next 60 years wishing I had picked up the phone. This is what unforgiveness does. It does not punish the person who wronged you. That person has their own life, their own sleep, their own worries. They are not lying awake thinking about you. They have moved on, or they have died, or they have forgotten, or they have made their own peace. But you are still there. You are still holding it. You are still in 1964, standing in a hardware store, feeling betrayed. I have met many people in 87 years. I have watched them come and go. I have watched some of them die. And I will tell you something that nobody says out loud. At the end, nobody is talking about what they achieved. Nobody is lying in a hospital bed saying, "I am so glad I held firm. I am so glad I never gave in. I am so glad I made them understand they were wrong." Nobody. What they talk about is the names, always the names. A daughter they stopped speaking to. A brother who reached out once, twice, 3 times, and finally stopped reaching. A friend who tried to apologize and was met with silence. The names come back. They always come back. And the tragedy, the real heavy, unbearable tragedy, is that by then, in most cases, it is too late to do anything but hold the name in your chest and feel the weight of all the years you wasted. This is what I mean when I say I have been carrying something. I carried Thomas for 60 years. 60 years. He was 29. He has been 29 in my memory, since October of 1967, and I have grown old carrying him. That is what unforgiveness is. It is you, aging, and the other person, frozen, and the distance between you, permanent. You will tell yourself you need an apology first. You will say, when they admit what they did, "I will forgive." Or you will say, "They know what they did. They should come to me." Or you will say, "Forgiveness is something I'll think about later, when things calm down, when I'm in the right frame of mind." I said all of those things, every single one of them, and I want to tell you, from 87 years of living, from this chair by this window with this quiet in the house, later does not always come. It does not always come. Thomas did not get a later. His mother did not get an explanation from me. I did not get the chance to stand across from my friend and say, "I was wrong to walk away. I was wrong to let it end the way it did. You mattered to me more than any business decision, and I should have told you so." I never got that, because I kept waiting for the right time. There is no right time. There is only time, and then there is the absence of it. Let me tell you what I have learned. Not rules, not steps, not a system, just what I have learned. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It is a decision. You will not feel ready. You will not wake up one morning and feel warmly toward the person who hurt you. That is not how it works. You decide to let it go before you feel it. The feeling sometimes comes later. Sometimes it never comes. But the decision, the act of choosing to stop carrying it, that you can do any day, including today. The second thing, the person you are not forgiving is taking up space inside you, space that belongs to something else, to a grandchild, to a quiet evening, to a moment of actual peace. Every time you choose to hold the grudge, you are choosing them over everything good that could live in that place inside you instead. You are making that trade. Make sure you know you are making it. And the third thing, this is the one I wish someone had told me when I was 40. When you are young, you think there is time to deal with the hard things later. You think the conversations can wait, the repairs can wait, the forgiveness can wait. Everything feels like it can wait. And then one Tuesday afternoon on Route 40, everything changes. Not slowly, suddenly, the way all the important things happen. Suddenly, and without warning, and without giving you the chance to say what you should have said. Do not wait for Tuesday afternoon. I am 87 years old. I am sitting in a chair by a window. Outside the trees are bare. It is late in the year, and everything has already let go of its leaves. Everything has already done the thing that needed to be done. I am still learning how to do that. I still speak to Thomas sometimes, not out loud, just in the quiet of the early morning, when the house is still, and there is no one to see an old man talking to a memory. I tell him I am sorry. I tell him he was right to be angry with me for how I handled it. I tell him he would have had a good hardware store. He doesn't answer, of course. The dead do not answer. But I have found in these last years that saying it still does something. Even to no one, even to the air, it loosens something in the chest, something that has been tight for a very long time. I want that loosening for you. I want it for you while there is still someone living who can hear it. Because here is the truth, the plainest, simplest, most honest thing I know at 87 years old. The weight you are carrying is not worth what it costs you. It is not worth the years. It is not worth the mornings. It is not worth the tightness in the chest at 3 in the morning when the world is quiet and there is nothing left to hide behind. Put it down, not for them, for you. Put it down before it is all you have left. I don't know how many mornings I have left. Not many, I think. The body begins to tell you these things. It speaks quietly, but it speaks clearly. I am not afraid, but I am grateful, genuinely, deeply grateful that I found my way, even slowly, even late, to a place where the weight is a little lighter than it was. I hope you find that place too. I hope you find it before the room with no windows comes for you. I hope you find it while the sun is still setting outside your window. And I really hope, that whoever it is you've been thinking about since the beginning of this conversation, whatever name came into your mind, whatever face appeared, I hope you know that they are not worth the years, and neither are you. Neither are you.